The toy Joker was unlike anything I had ever seen. When I unwrapped him on my 7th birthday, the small doll stared back at me with glassy eyes that seemed to hold a secret. His bright red and green costume was worn and stained, and the painted smile on his face curled a little too wide, as if daring me to look close. I named him Jinx, and from that day on he was my constant companion. At first, Jinx was just a toy, or so I thought, but as days turned into weeks, subtle things began to unnerve me. I'd find him in places I never left him, atop the bookshelf, balanced oddly on my bedpost, or sitting perfectly still on the edge of the bathtub. Each time I looked directly at him, an unsettling sensation crept up my spine. It was as if he was alive, watching me from his painted eyes, flickering between innocence and something darker. One night, I woke to a soft creaking noise coming from the corner of my room. My eyes adjusted to the moonlight filtering through the curtains, and I saw Jinx sitting upright on my desk, an impossible place for him to have moved to on his own. Heart pounding, I blinked, clutching my blanket tighter. Could it be my imagination? I convinced myself so and drifted back to sleep, though unease lingered like a shadow. As the months went by, the incidents grew, and stranger and more frequent things started to happen. Whispers echoed down the hallway when no one was there. Cold drafts slithered through the house despite the summer heat. On several occasions, I found faint, muddy footprints leading to my room from the backyard, but I was the only one home. I confided in my mother, but she dismissed them as a childish fear. The night everything escalated, I was curled up in bed, clutching Jinx tightly as I often did. The lights flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. From the silence, a low, guttural chuckle echoed, soft but chilling. I jolted awake to find his smile stretched impossibly wide, the paint cracking grotesquely, as if the doll itself was grinning at my terror. Fear rooting me to the spot, I barely registered my mother stepping into the doorway, holding a bundle of sage and an old leather-bound book. "You are not imagining things," she said quietly, her voice trembling. "That toy, it is not what it seems." She explained that the doll was cursed, steeped into the dark magic of an old ritual meant to trap a restless spirit. This spirit, bound to the toy, fed off fear and grew stronger with every whispered secret and sleepless night. To save me, a cleansing ritual had to be performed. That night, my mother gathered white candles, sage, salt, and relics from our family altar. The room was filled with scent of burning herbs as she murmured prayers in a language I didn't understand. The words were heavy with ancient power. She circled the room, salt tracing a protective barrier around me, while the candles flickered as if resisting some unseen force. Jinx sat in the center, eyes gleaming with malevolence. The air thrummed with tension, and I could feel the doll's presence pressing against the protective circle like a predator trapped behind glass. My mother's voice grew stronger, and the doll's crackling chuckle warred against her chants. At last, the shadows receded and silence fell. My mother swept the sage ash into the fireplace, whispering, "You must never touch it again." Despite her words, the unease never left me. Jinx remained on my shelf, silent and still, waiting. Over the years, The paranormal activities worsened. Objects moved, lights flickered relentlessly, and the cruel cuckoo haunted my dreams. My mother grew desperate, fearing for my safety and the darkness that clung to our home. Then, one night, the unbearable tension snapped. I woke to the smell of smoke and hurried outside to the backyard. My mother stood there, her eyes etched with sorrow and resolve, clutching Jinx. She threw the doll into the flames. The fire swallowed it hungrily, melting the painted smile into an evil grimace. But even as the fire died and the ashes cooled, a chilling truth settled over me. A faint glimmer of glass eyes seemed to watch from the blackened remains, and a cold presence slipped into the night air. Some nights, when the house is quiet and the wind whispers through the trees, I hear the faint tinkling of a chilling laugh, Jinx's laugh, and in the corner of my eye, a shadow waits. He is not gone, he is merely biding his time, and one day he will return.